I had the fortune of having a couple friends whose parents were lawyers at big law firms in Washington, D.C. and other places. And so they had, I think, had guidance from their parents about things to look for and things to do. And at least one of them, who I was very good friends with, who is now a professor here at Duke, I believe, it emphasized to me the importance of clerkships for the rest of your legal career for various things. Well, originally, I thought I was going to be a professor. And so at the time, pursuing an appellate clerkship was an important step towards becoming a law professor. And that's why I looked exclusively at appellate clerkships. In hindsight, once I decided I wasn't going to become a professor after a few years at the Justice Department, I think I would have looked more broadly at trial court clerkships and appellate court clerkships because they both bring important knowledge to legal practice. And frankly, for litigators, the district court clerkships and the trial level clerkships at the state courts are in some ways more important because you learn and see the nuts and bolts of litigation. Well, a couple different things. I mean, the first thing is take kind of a wide variety of classes, and particularly substantive classes where you're going to do a lot of reading and writing if you're thinking about appellate clerkships, because that's what I'm looking for, is somebody that writes well, can read and analyze things quickly because we have a pretty high caseload and have to move things relatively quickly. We have a lot more time than district courts. There are certain core classes you should take depending on what kind of clerkship you're looking for. At my court, I want everybody to take patent law because we have so many patent cases, but I also want them to take administrative law because we have a lot of administrative law issues in both our patent cases and in all the cases against the government that come to us. And so part of it is just look and think a little bit ahead, but you don't have to worry too much about it. I mean, a lot of that is you're going to learn it all at the clerkship anyway. That's the benefit of the clerkship, is you actually learn how to be a lawyer in the nuts and bolts of practicing law versus the substance of the law. So I clerked for a senior judge on the Sixth Circuit, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit, which covers Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. He was the first in his family to go to law school, and he worked in various state government positions until he became the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Ohio, was a district court judge, and then was ultimately an appellate court judge, where he finished out his career. But he was also, even though we had very different viewpoints, because he was very conservative, he taught me the ways to think about doing legal interpretation and approaching cases and trying to not be ideological and trying to let the cases just dictate, the law dictate the outcome of the cases. Well, I think I'll answer it this way, which is a lot of how I operate my chambers is in reaction to things that I wish he would have done and that I heard from my fellow classmates and other friends that clerked who had a much closer relationship with their judge, talked more with them on just various things, and had more of an ongoing relationship with him. I did not. I tried to have that relationship with my clerks. And it informs the way we operate. We're very collegial, we're very cooperative. I like to talk things through with everybody. They talk things through with everybody. And that atmosphere, I tried to create that atmosphere, not just through the legal stuff, but we have lunch together almost every day when I'm in town. Try to foster that kind of family atmosphere. I want people that have, shown accomplishment in law school, which means you've gotten the best grades you can. I tend to hire, mostly from the top 10 to 20%. Sometimes I'll make exceptions if there's other things, or if there are great recommendations from a professor. I like to see people that have done journal, if not the main journal, one of the subsidiary journals, because it means that they've worked on writing and editing and things like that. The other group is kind of the more intangible set of factors, and there's a couple things there. One, our clerks, particularly at my court, but I think at every court in every area, become the next generation of lawyers for that field or that area. So I want to make sure that I'm hiring people that are representative of the entire community of this country, from all different backgrounds and all different life experiences, because that's the only way I can ensure that the bar gets more representative and more diverse. You do not have to be in the top 10 or 20% of your class to get a clerkship. And you just need to talk to the clerkship coordinators here and anybody else you can find to talk about clerkships. I mean, reach out to people from wherever you're interested in, alumni. Duke sends a lot of on to clerk. And I'm sure the clerkship office keeps a list of them, and you can call them and talk to them. Almost all the people I get from Duke and frankly elsewhere that come clerk for me have talked to at least 2 or 3 of my former clerks. And so the information's out there. Ask your professors during office hours, because almost all the professors here have probably clerked at one level or the other.